Welcome to the Moon God Pod. I'm your host, Jason Harrell. You know me as JWowLax, and I've got LoveOX and Aramunu joining me today. Gentlemen, how are you this morning?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for asking.
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we're starting this podcast, and LoveOX and I, we've been a part of the AKU World since, I guess, day one when Genesis was released, February 22nd. What was that, February 2021? And we met Micah Johnson through an old podcast that we did, and we have been, big fans of the project. And one of the biggest goals for the AKU people is that you could become a moon god. And then we had the release of the Akutars, and one of the best features of that was the Mega OG moon gods. So here we are. This is the first episode, and we couldn't have a better first guest. I want to just ask, what is the deal between you two guys and this constant like chipping up on the WEEF offers to get them?
I'm trying to catch up to LoveOX. He downplays it. But gotta catch up to this guy. He has such an awesome collection of the Mega OG. So I think like with the commercial rights coming out, people are like, oh, like this could be a thing, a really big thing. And I saw LoveOX's collection. I was like, wow, I gotta get there. So I think he saw me creeping from behind. So we just got caught up and did a little WEEF war. And I got lucky one day. I'll just leave it at that. He let me win.
So first of all, I'll say that I am a connoisseur, and I evaluate collections of all size. And Aramunu, by all means, has the best, I think, Akutar collection in the country, in the nation, in the metaverse.
Oh,
whatever verse you want to have, his collection is one to none, and it's outstanding, right? So whenever I take a look at what he has going on, I personally feel like it's time to acquire more. But to kind of echo his sentiments, I think that the one thing that myself and JWowLax always talked about was, hey, like, what would be a catalyst for the project to kind of go next level? And one thing I always say was ownership, right? So with the emojis, it's the first time that I think we really have an opportunity to have this ownership. So I'm really excited going forward.
What are you guys looking for? Because when you put the WEEF offer out, especially in the NFT landscape, there are obviously the bigger projects like the Bored Apes and the CryptoPunks. We know about those. But for the Akutars, it's interesting because like the base Akutars, as we look today, is around, it goes anywhere between 0.4 and 0.5 at the moment. But you're kind of dealing with like kind of big money, like putting out a 3 ETH offer when, you're talking 6,000, but you're not guaranteed necessarily to get the one you're wanting. Is there a strategy that you do with your WEEF offers? Is it a blanket offer and you're just trying to accumulate? We'll start with Armin.
It's alpha time. Time to give away all the secrets. It really depends on how you're evaluating the value of these pieces, right? And when you look at Bored Apes, and as of today, I think it's back to 80 ETH. It's been over 100 at some point. And when you look at some of the other top projects, Azuki or CloneX, Doodles, those pieces have commercial rights, and those projects have 10,000 pieces with commercial rights. So the way that I look at it is, you have this iconic character, Aku. Micah Johnson team are doing big things with IP. They're at D23, and they're only going to be 529 that have these commercial rights. So I apply a certain value to these pieces, right? And I said, wait, wait a second, people are really undervaluing these. So when I started going crazy on these a couple of weeks ago, it's just like, okay, let me just try to get as many as I can and then do a sweep. So I was like, okay, no one's buying these. Let me do 2.25. No one's letting it go. 2.5, 275. I started buying like 3 or 4 of these with the same strategy. And then I said, okay, I'm just gonna sweep the rest at 3 to 4. And then people got really smart. They started listing them higher. So I can't apply that strategy of sweeping today, but I just personally want to accumulate as many as I can around this range, because I personally see value in these. And then I think people, other collectors like LoveOX probably had the same thesis. I'd love to hear kind of the way that you think about it. And I think that's when some of the bidding war started to happen.
Well, if you go in our Discord and you go into the Moon God Discord and the MOG Discord and you hear the exchange of ideas and all the bright folks that we have there, right? And then you allow these people to explore a IP for their individual Moon God, or when I say Moon God, I mean the MOG. I conflate the two, I'm not trying to. You become excited. One of the mantras I have here is a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So if one of these guys, if one of our community members and their Moon God kind of excels and breaks the mold, I think we all benefit there. And then to your point, there's only 500 of these. As we stand right now, it's the only IP that we have to kind of differentiate ourselves from the moon, from AKU, right? But I also believe that as AKU does well, these moon gods will also do well. And we all know, we've been in the crypto space long enough, that scarcity is king, right? So what wins in the long term? Very much scarcity, things that folks don't have. So when we get to that next bull market, I'm very, very high on these emojis.
Now you brought up something. There is a distinguishing factor in that, like if you look at LoveOX's Moon God avatar, that's the mega Moon God, the PFP. But then there is also being a Moon God, which is actually a different Discord as well. I'm going to assume that all of us here are Moon Gods. Am I right, A?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough of those sets, but yes, definitely a Moon God.
So
There are different channels within the Discord, right? So
here's the thing that especially with people that are I've onboarded a number of people into the space, and it's really so easy. I just tell them, Google Micah Johnson, and then so much information comes out. And we've had this conversation, LoveOX and I, where it's like, name me one other artist, and I would even put it up against apes and punks, where with the level of partnerships, but just the plain magnitude of press. I mean, we've got the Time magazine, the NASA launch with the NFT, Visa. Like, it's so fascinating how kind of small we are considering the magnitude of things that have been done. I kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent, but I want to bring it back. So what is the most valuable asset, do you think? Is it if someone's deciding between owning a mega OG, or they're like a chapter 3 away from completing a set, like, what advice would you give? And it's all going to be speculation, because we just don't know what's really going to pace the other.
oh my gosh. If not financial advice, disclaimer. No. I feel like, so they're so different. I think the use cases, right? I always looked at the chapters as like a comic book collectible with a possibility of utility. So the utility that we got earlier in the year was, if you held a chapter, you airdrop the avatar, which was the deal of the century. The thing that Micah Johnson has shared with us is, if you are a moon god, which means you have chapter 1 through 10, that is like the highest status that you can have within the ecosystem. So I think for me personally, I would definitely start with the 1 through 10 and be a part of the ecosystem. You know, whether that set is worth 10x tomorrow, in a month, or 3 months, like no one has any idea. Chapter 3 went from the $1,000 starting price, and I think the highest price I ever paid was like 80 or 90,000, some insane number, and now it's back down, right?
Mhm.
But if I were to get into the ecosystem, I definitely will want a chapter, a full set for that reason. And then I think the use case for the MOG, the Mega OG Akutar, are going to be the commercial rights. It's got to be access into this tiny community within the Discord. And there, I definitely do think there are upsides, but I think the use case is essentially different. I don't know if I answered the question, but that's how how I'm thinking about it.
It's a tough question, right? I mean, LoveOX.
You know, I look at it in timelines and what kind of, again, as Aramunu said, this is not financial advice, but if I'm somebody who's more of a short term, you know, what can happen in the next 6, 12, 18 months, I think I lean MOG. If I'm looking long term and, you know, believe in the and trust in the team, which I do, by the way, I would lead toward chapter. So right now, my personal strategy is to continue to acquire these MOGs and kind of let the chapters that I have kind of, you know, just sit and wait while we get through this bear market.
Well, that's really the hottest topic. I mean, you know, we've heard Pransky or seen Pransky like sweep the floor and pick up like 20 Akutars. It's interesting that the floor, you know, as soon as it gets swept up and moves up, then people get impatient. They start, you know, kind of racing to the bottom for each other. But the moon gods, I think, with the limit, you know, there's definitely something very special, and it's kind of one of those, if you know, you know. And so I ask you, what is your Aku story? Like, when were you here with us from day one, or is this something that you heard through the grapevine? What's your Aku story?
Yeah, my Aku story is I'm here from day one.
Oh,
Day
wow.
one believer, day one in the Discord. Originally I came in through like my in real life kind of like name. And
Mhm.
then over time I switched over to Aramunu. So if anyone really, really wants to dig, it like people could like probably pretty easily figure it out. But I've been a supporter from day one. Like I fell in love with Aku. So my backstory is like New York City, born and raised, like really like diverse. And I'm from the Asian community. And growing up, like the Asian community just adopted like hip hop culture, right? And I fell in love with that. And if you're kind of from that area, from that space, you kind of know what I'm talking about. And representation growing up was like really, as an Asian American, it's kind of a unique kind of situation because there wasn't a lot of representation growing up. And sometimes we as we look towards that representation, we see other groups and we kind of find appeal in those, right? And you know the story these days, hey, representation matters. So when I first saw Aku, when that chapter 1 preview came out and this kid is walking down that hallway with that music and that swagger, and I said, hey, this is really cool. I looked into the story, and that story of representation, that story of, hey, can astronauts be black, it just resonated with me right away. I was like, oh my gosh. So combine that with the visuals, and the other thing is like Aku chapter 1 came out on my birthday.
Ah,
Oh, wow.
So it's like the most insane kind of combination. I was like, I am in. I'm just in. So I started, I bought a few. I think I bought 2 and then joined the Discord, and Micah Johnson was saying, hey, if you collect 10, you'll be a moon god. So I collected 2 at a time, and now I was like, wait a second, I gotta get some. I gotta have more sets. And I got a wife and 2 kids. I was like, this gotta be a moon god family. So when later on when chapter 3 was like 7K, I was like, all right, I'm gonna bite the bullet. And then I started so long story short, I got 4 moon god sets, and I still want more, but they're so expensive.
And it's the cheapest it's been in like since really almost this time last year. We so LoveOX and I remember when we kind of were figuring out like because the NFT space, like, you know, it's the time space continuum is just so distorted, and we were kind of like, oh, why isn't this going up in value, and questioning, like, we never questioned Micah, but you just look at the other projects and it's like, well, why isn't this doing something? Or, you know, at that time it was just the chapters. But I remember we were both kind of eyeballing the chapter 3s, and I was like, man, there's like 4 for $6,000, and if we sweep this floor, it's gonna move something. And you know, like we like, it was funny because my plan was, I knew like I was gonna buy 2, but I needed him to buy 2 as well, and for my plan to work. And I was going to basically sell a chapter 3, you know, for, you know, like a profit. I think I sold one of them, but I ended up buying like another, and it was like one of those big purchase impulse things that we pulled off. But then it's like I end up holding on to them. Yeah, you know, like it was.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing to really any of the NFT projects that I've been a part of, that like there's almost a bit of pain to let something go, especially like my Moon God chapters. Like I won't break up any sets, although I do personally have I have 3 rogue chapter 3s, which you know, my key to the kingdom without having the complete sets. So, you know, I'm sure I'll let those go, ideally if it goes back to like something crazy like 90,000. Missed the boat on that one, but
yeah. I locked away. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, a question for you. I guess it's a 2-part question. The first one is, out of all the Akutars that you have, you know, what are your favorites? What are your favorite 2? You know, is it
my gosh.
Yeah, is it the MOG? Is it the box head? Like, you know, what excites you? And then I guess the second part to my question, when you see the IP rights, had you given any thought to how you may utilize that with what you have right now?
Oh my gosh, big questions.
Yes.
All right. So I love it. So what's my favorite? So I'm so like, just my personality. I like to, you know, just coming from humble beginnings, I'd like to take what I have and make it really big. Right. So when you say like, what's my favorite, even if like, the one that I have isn't like the best looking, it's where I came from, right? Like, it's what I got first. So I'm just gonna take it from wherever it is all the way to the top. So that said, I would say like my Mega OG Aquatar, like my PFP is the one that I'm gonna ride it all the way to the top.
Which is amazing, by the way. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it's a great looking one too, right? So I'm like, man, that I love it, and maybe you guys could just like overlay that picture because for the viewers if they're watching the YouTube, but that thing, it fits my personality. Like, I'm chill when I'm chill. Right? It's got the pineapple shirt, it's got the rose, got the skateboard, and then
the skateboarder though.
No, I'm not, but it's like when it's just, it reflects chill, right?
No, it does.
So I'm chill when, like, my natural state is chill, but when I want to go at it, I'm gonna go at it. I'm gonna go hard, and that's what the helmet is for me. So I think that's my favorite one. But if you look at my collection, I've got 10 homemade helmets, and I love the homemades because it just makes me feel like a kid, and it just it reflects for me like the child in Aku, right? Like, even if you have nothing, you color up a cardboard box and you put it over your head and you become whatever you want. So in my collections, those really come to mind. I could go on all day. There's other favorites, of course, but I'd say those are top two. So how about a pause there and answer any questions on that before I dive into the IP?
No, I appreciate what you're
Okay.
saying there. Like, I think that your moon god with the rose and the sunglasses and the colorful book bag, it's got to be one of my favorites. And that helmet is probably my favorite combo with the black and blue visor and the textured helmet. I think you nailed it on that one. Did you mint that? Was that airdrop to you?
Yeah,
Or is
those
this one?
airdrops.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. It was airdropped. I just feel blessed.
You know what's interesting is like you talking about riding it to the end, because when all of the examples were coming out, and we didn't, I think he only showed one moon god example, but like there was some amazing, like, and then we later find out those are like the hand drawn, like the rarest of the rares. And then when we kind of got it, not to be, like, a spoiled brat on Christmas, but it was like I really wanted the moon gods to hit all the really big ones, and I felt like like we didn't we didn't get the cake and eat it too. And again, I know what that sounds like, but it's like I love my avatar. My moon god is I think he looks like Prince, and I'm a Prince fan, so that's pretty cool. But man, there are just so many where like a buddy of mine, he got one chapter, he never even checked it, like, and he, like, it was like 2 weeks after the airdrop, and I was like, which one did you get? And he got a Michael Jackson jacket.
Ooh,
And I was just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's like, is this good? I was like, of course it's good. It's Thriller, man. Come on.
Yeah. My salty story on this is, if you're in the Discord, he once showed a proof of concept of like one that looked like Tupac. And when that didn't come out in the set, I was so salty, because I know there is the Guardian, but the Guardian handmade one is nothing like the Tupac one that he showed in Discord. I was like, that custom background, that gold chain, the flexing trait. I'm really salty about that one. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but I just hung on to that idea that this Tupac version of an Aku Tower would come out, but it didn't. So that's why it's salty story.
I think overall, I mean, they're great. The one critique that I would have, and it's not a knock, it was just like it should have been discussed or implemented more, is all the ones with like them holding flags. Like, I think that's so important, and they should have done so many more countries. There's a lot of countries that got slept on, like, and maybe I just haven't seen it, but like one for Spain and one for Italy, like, if you have, like every country, like Colombia, that in itself, like, I mean, I'm an American, so we're represented. But if I was, if your roots are from a different country, like I would like an Irish one, like my family's Irish. That would be kind of cool, that was the one thing where I was like, you had it, you just could have gone a little further. But aside from that, I mean, it's hard to argue. And I definitely don't want to snooze on the IP question.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you mean. Maybe he could make another set of guitars at some point when the project is bigger.
We got plenty of guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, on the IP question, I think, like, if you see me in the Discord, I cannot shut up about the IP stuff. I feel, as someone a part of like this project, Micah Johnson and team has really made us feel like a family, and that's one thing I feel like lucky to be a part of, and one thing that I feel is like really special about what he's building. He doesn't take all of our ideas and make it a reality. Obviously, he and the team are the creators, but he does make us feel a part of it. So when it comes to the IP, I had this entire time, I feel like I annoy Micah Johnson a lot with this, which is I tried to get him and the team to make all the Akutars have IP rights. Obviously, very sensitive subject. He's a creator. He has a vision for the Akutars, but he did enable the IP for the Mega OG Akutars, and I think we could do a lot with it. So to answer LoveOX's question, I think the sky is the limit, right? And we're right at the beginning stages of it. And the way that I like to look at it is there is a huge world of opportunity to build brands around these IP rights. And one example out there that I've been looking at is Jenkins the Valet, right? So Jenkins the Valet is this someone took a Bored Ape and built a brand around it because they have the commercial rights. And it's not just a person, it's actually a professional company called, and I believe I'm getting this right. So they're called Tally Labs, and they're building products around Jenkins the Valet, and it's very cool. So when I see the opportunity with Mega OG Akutars, hey, there is already one example out there of what you can do with IP rights. And the thing that really excites me is the Mega OG Akutars are going to be in the same like brand family as Aku. And if Aku does well, just like LoveOX said, like rising tide, raises all boats. So I'm very excited for that. So happy to pause there and see if I kind of touched on your question, LoveOX.
Yeah, I think you did. And myself personally, and I've probably been at this for a good month or 6 weeks. I'm trying my initial foray into IP rights is going to be servicing existing moon gods, right? Developing something that we'd all be proud to showcase. Now it's still heavily under development. I haven't quite got the prototype right, but I think if I can service everybody internally, I do believe that maybe it can catch fire externally as well. And as we have new people join the family, that's also a positive. Now, I like what you say in regards to, our correlation or our connection with Aku. Like, I wish we can more broadly figure out exactly what that is as we talk to folks. And because, the whole part of having the IP is, hey, we are kind of connected with Aku as well. Like, I think that's an important thing to kind of flesh out and see what we can and cannot say when it comes to IP and approaching different things that may fit the brand of our particular, of our megas.
Yeah, and I believe that was kind of the spirit of your question as well that I didn't touch upon. So I love what you're trying to do in terms of servicing like the existing community. I would love to do a lot with my Mega OG Akutar, right? So I think so far what I've done is I created a Twitter account for it to kind of like build up the brand. I believe the commercial rights form is going to come out this week. I really would love to read through it. I'm the kind of guy that likes to jump the gun on stuff. So I've already started. So I come from a tech background. Right now, I run a tech consulting company, having worked at 4 startups, had to exit out of a company. And so I know a bunch of people in the VC community, and I started reaching out to them in the last few weeks and just say like, hey, there's this thing called like Jenkins the Valet. Someone built a brand, and I'm in the Aku community, and they're gonna do commercial rights. Hey, like, would you want to do you have any ideas to like build something big? I've got some ideas. Do you want to hear them? What can we do with this? So what I'm really hoping for is that the Micah Johnson team have like big plans to support the Mega OGs, and then people in the community like you, LoveOX, like myself, maybe there's some other people that really want to build this up. And if there's enough support and there's enough interest, I think some crazy stuff can be built. I'm willing to go crazy on it, but I really do need to see Micah Johnson and team be willing to say like, hey, we will support you in either capital partnerships, kind of like really strong commercial rights. Like you're free to do a lot with it and not restrictive commercial rights. So I think there's a lot to kind of understand how they think about it. And then if it's going to be a wide open space, I really want to go after it.
There's a lot. I mean, the interesting thing with Aku, especially, you know, for us that have been there since day one, is speculation. You know, the idea of the tides rising with the boats and everything. I butchered that, but I look at Aku and I really have always kind of wondered like what's going to be like the big thing, because there's so many verticals that he's working on. You know, there's the movie, you know, we've talked about like education in classrooms, the partnerships and the you know, it's just the partnerships alone. Like what is that going to involve? What is, you know, teaming up with Puma, like is, you know, like LaMelo Ball, who's sponsored by Puma, is he going to have a shoe with Aku on it? What is the most exciting thing, and like as far as a possibility from the Aku world, that you see, that you're excited about, but also what's the first thing that you think happens in terms of just Aku as a whole?
Man, that's a big question. Like, I'll just say that when I look at Aku, I see the next Mickey Mouse, the next Spider-Man. Like, and that has not changed since day one. I say to my wife, she's like, why you keep buying all this Aku stuff? It's like, Aku's the next Mickey, Aku's the next Spider-Man. So, and I believe that all the way down to my core. And I think the market is really ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This generational character and representation, you know, in the US, at least, I mean, it's just brewing, right? Like how much we need representation and a generational character that's positive, right? Everything is a dystopia these days. Like when you're watching shows, like everything's a dystopia. That's what's interesting these days.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I love when stories are about hope and possibility and what's possible. So I think the cap for Aku is limitless, and we're right at the beginning stages of it. I think like if you're already in Aku, it's super early, just because I like to think some people like to view it as some people may view it as a mature project. I feel like it's kind of like in alpha stages, right? In terms of like the team is still learning like how to put this out in the world, in the Web 2 world, and the Web 3 world. So I think, as you mentioned, there's just so many verticals that are being built at the same time. So what's the next thing? I'm hoping the next big thing is that it can like start to reach a mass audience. So I'm hoping like Aku shows up at the Super Bowl or something. Like this is me dreaming. Like Aku shows up at the Super Bowl in a commercial, or Aku shows up in kind of like a cartoon, or does a cameo in a Disney movie.
Mm-hmm.
And as that kind of stuff happens, like more people are actually like entering Web3. So I guess that's my hope as to what will happen next.
You want to weigh in, LoveOX?
Yeah, I think the messaging is huge. To Aramanu's point, you know, number one, when's the last superhero or character that's kind of come out and hit the mainstream? So I do think there's definitely room for a character that's different, right? A character that is Black or Latino or just a different race and something different. I think a lot of folks would definitely stand behind that. Now, in terms of something that I think could happen that would be really cool, is if one of these major corporations bought a moon god and maybe they start developing IP for it. So I do think there's a lot of different things that can happen in the short term that can really, really, really kind of accelerate the growth of this project, right? Like honestly, in the beginning, it was very hard for me, but I'm not patient, right? So I'm expecting like, when's the next news? When is this going to happen? When does that happen? And why hasn't this happened? We talked about this. And it just took me a while to realize, like, hey, like they are producing consistently each and every month. There's something amazing coming out. Like literally, like Aku was the first character on the cover of Time magazine. Like I can go into an airport, I can pick up a copy, and my NFT's on the cover of freaking Time magazine. That's amazing. So like I had to like kind of dial in within myself and say like they're hard at work every single day. You look at Micah's Instagram, you look at what he talks about, you look at his passion every time we have those calls on Thursday. He hired Roger. I think Roger's amazing. Like I can't criticize anything, right? So I had to look back and like, hey, like we were gifted chapter 4, we were gifted chapter 8, we were gifted Akutars, we were gifted Moon Gods, we were gifted the chapters for the Moon Gods, we're gifted a Plains hat, we're gifted, and you know, it's the amount that the way that they've driven value back to the community is I guess Bored Apes obviously is above that, but outside of that, like I think they've consistently delivered, and I'm really, really excited to what happens going forward.
I would say that Aku's delivered more than Bored Apes. If you really like, if you take the actual price tag out of it, because obviously, like they got a free mutant ape, and that's at one point you could probably have sold a mutant for 100,000, but like considering if you've been since the beginning, you got chapter 4 for free, you got chapter 8 for free, and then we got not just the mega OGs, but then we got the 2 OGs and then the 2 Akutars for free. Like you said with the Plains hat, I bought the Time piece, and then I won the original copy of the Time piece. The DraftKings, our guy H-Man swept the thing and he won $2,500. It's that's a weekly free roll for having an Akutar in fantasy football. Like the give back, I think is unmatched. The promotion and the connection. I literally saw a Time magazine copy of Aku like 2 weeks ago in an airport. Like it's still even out there. We need to kind of start wrapping up. My question, I've got a 2-part question. The first is, someone new to NFTs asks you, what is Aku? What is it that you tell them Aku is, in order, not that you're trying to sell it, but what would be the main point that you would want them to hear to onboard them for Aku? And secondly, what do you expect from Miami Aku World? Armu, yeah.
Wow, someone new to NFTs. What is Aku?
Like, because the story's great, and like
yeah.
I said, I just tell people no financial advice, Google. But when I'm trying to explain what exactly is Aku beyond the story, like, and then I'll tell them it's like, well, they're in production for a movie, and they went to space, and they were on the cover of Time, and they were connected with all these. What do you think it is that really?
Yeah, I without knowing their goals and being specific to that person, as our friend, my name is Glitch, likes to say, Aku is a movement. Like if I had to just sum it up, like Aku is a movement, right? And from that movement, there are certain ways to participate in that movement, right? And you can participate by being a supporter, or you could participate by grabbing one of the assets that are available. One of the assets is the NFTs, the chapters. It's like a comic book, right? You buy the comic book, you read it, in this case, watch it, store it away. It's your thing, right? It's your precious. And then the other way to be a part of the community is like, hey, grab an Akutar, and like Akutars are going to be a part of the quote unquote metaverse, whatever that means. We're all still trying to figure it out. The way that it has manifested is it's a token that allows you to be a part of events. So the one that we have right now is Aku Football Sundays. You have to participate in daily fantasy sports. What's been hinted at is Akuverse. So maybe something that Micah and team are building, that is this universe that your Akutar gets to play around in. So the background for that is all Akutars are built in Unreal Engine, the same thing that I believe Fortnite is built in. So whatever the Akuverse is going to be, your Akutar is going to have some kind of space or interaction, but that token, that Akutar token, is going to allow you to participate in that way. So if someone new to space asks me about it, I start with, hey, it's a movement. And then if you have the tokens, it could do some stuff. What do I expect out of AKU World in Miami? I didn't go last year and it looked amazing.
It was.
Okay, now I'm super jealous that you're able to go. I am planning to go this year. They have said that they started working on this year's AKU Miami since last year, and it's supposed to be 5 times bigger. So their words, not mine. So I'm very excited to just go and vibe with people that are in the space, that believe in the movement, that, and hopefully meet some other holders that want to participate and build on top of the ecosystem. So that's my thoughts there.
Miami was pretty awesome, and I spent the 3 days there, and I was there from pretty much the time it opened till the time it closed each day, and just hanging out. And then our community was much smaller. Like, I can't imagine what the turnout will be, and we're all kind of behind these masks and these PFPs and these Discord names, and so to actually kind of meet people on a real an IRL level, it was pretty special. And if they're saying it's 5 times better, that's going to be pretty exciting. I want to get you out on 2 questions. I'm going to ask you 1 question, and then I'll see if LoveOX has a question for you.
Okay.
My question is, where are you going? Like, you've got one meal, like one special meal to celebrate. Where are you going? What kind of food are you getting, and where are you getting it?
Oh man. I think people in New York might hate me for this answer, but I actually really like Peter Luger's. Peter Luger's.
What kind of
Steakhouse.
What's wrong with a steakhouse?
Yeah. I think it's like for people in New York, you either love it or hate it. But I love it. I'm a steak guy.
There's a steakhouse on 34th called Keen's. That's my favorite.
Yeah. My uncle loves that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LoveOX, what do you got?
Aramunu, have you been to Din Tai Fung before, by chance?
I believe so. Yeah. Are you talking about the dim sum place, or?
Yeah. I was in San Diego 2 weeks ago, and I had it for the first time, and I thought it was really tasty. So I'm kind of getting into I love ramen, but dumplings and things of that nature. It's really tasty stuff. I'm hungry. It's making me hungry right now.
If we ever do a thing in New York, maybe I'll show you guys around Chinatown. That's my hood. So
have you been to Hong Kong?
I've never been.
Okay.
Never been.
That's ruined me on dim sum, because I went to Hong Kong, and I met a couple girls on Tinder, and they took me to like the real places to eat, not the tourist places.
Yeah.
And wow, it was just plate after plate after plate. It was amazing. But I'll still go wherever you.
Okay. Yeah.
And so final question is, who would you like to see on our podcast? But the one twist is, you have to help us get them on.
Oh my gosh. Who? And it has to be a moon god?
Has to be a moon god or a mega moon god.
Oh my gosh. Well, LoveOX is already here. No disrespect to any other moon gods.
No,
I love you all, but actually the person that kind of comes to mind first is AMB, and only because this guy has been like aggressively like buying up everything recently, so he kind of comes to mind first since you're putting me under the gun.
But you
But
gotta help us get them. Yeah,
I'm sure I'm sure he would love
yeah.
to be a part of this. But there are many other moon gods that I respect. But this guy's just been buying stuff up. So I think he's just his hype meter is at 11 right now. So he'll have the energy.
See, my strategy is eventually we're going to run out of moon gods, and someone's going to have to be like, "Well, I guess I can call Pranksky or Dingaling." Dingaling did an interview on the First Mint a long time ago when he was buying up all the Top Shot things, but he would only do the interview like you couldn't even record his voice. So LG, the guy that runs the First Mint, had to like do an electric robot voice for him or something like that. That guy's special, you know.
Yeah.
But you guys are keeping up with the big boys with your bags of Aku. So just want to say, man, when we decided to do this podcast and we were throwing around names, like I said, the rivalry between you guys recently was something that I wanted to touch on, and more than happy to have you as the first guest and truly appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel so humbled that you even considered me for this. So thank you so much for having me on. Happy to support this podcast in any way that I can. Love what you're doing. Yeah, thanks so much.
What you got, LoveOX?
That's all I have. I just want to say, Aramunu, thank you for your time. It's very much appreciated. And I'll soon be adding more WETH offers. So I'll definitely see you out there in the metaverse here soon.
Oh, I'm creeping. Don't you worry about it. I'm creeping, sir.
So
don't you worry about it.
I'm in the tall grass. So just watch out. Be careful.
Got my eyes on your account.
We're gonna have to call LoveOX Smokey the Bear. All he wants is smoke for everything. Moon gods. Oh man. Well, just want to say appreciate everyone that's viewing our inaugural podcast, To the Moon God Pod. We came up with that name because we are moon gods. We all have stories, and that's what Aku is all about, is sharing stories, storytelling. And, you know, I love this community. I love Aku. I love just even the title of being a moon god. We hope to see great things in the future, bring you plenty of moon god guests. And you know, we're starting out. This is the first one. We've at least got 529 possible episodes ahead of us. So promise things will get smoother. But be sure to like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. We love reviews. We're dependent, especially upon the Aku community. Not just to help our podcast. We're doing this for you guys, for the Aku metaverse, and certainly for the moon gods. Just trying to be of service and pay it forward. So for Aramunu, LoveOX, I'm JWowLax. We will see you next time.
Bye.